In this moment, at this time, I invite each and every one of you to just put away your false face, that business, professional, public face that you have. Just let it go for now. Allow the true you, the real you, the authentic connection that is to the divine, that dwells within. Allow that to just be in this moment. If you feel so inclined, go ahead and take a nice, deep, cleansing breath in, breathing in cool, calming oxygen. And as you release the breath, release all that no longer serves you. Allow your body to just relax in this moment. And allow your mind to be here now. Universal love enfolds me. Universal wisdom inspires me. Universal spirit enlightens me. Universal power encircles me. I am one, and all is well. As we begin this inner healing process, let me invite you to relax in quiet confidence, opening yourself up to the miracle-working higher power. Now symbolize the unity of your thinking and feeling nature by touching your chest with your hand, and let my words act as your own, for your own inner healing, acceptance, and receptivity. I acknowledge that there is a power, intelligence, and wisdom greater than my own. I am in the midst of it, and it is in the midst of me, sensitive and responsive to my every thought, word, action, and feeling. I now make this true for myself by saying aloud, I acknowledge. Acknowledging this higher power working through my life, I admit that I am personally responsible for solving my own problems while being guided and assisted by something greater than myself. As I am ready to surrender the conflicts of my ego to the wisdom of this infinite presence, I simply speak these words: I surrender. Knowing that forgiveness is the key to unconditional love and the feeling of heaven, I now unconditionally forgive anyone and everyone who has ever injured me in any way, real or imagined. And I now forgive myself for all of my mistaken judgments and their resulting actions. From my deepest level of understanding, I now say, I forgive. Realizing that I continually experience the effects of my own thinking, I now choose to allow this higher power to recreate me deeply, filling my mind with thoughts that are only positive, constructive, loving, and beautiful. I call upon this divine inflow by stating aloud, I choose. I now center upon that one special idea that I'm willing to accept as real for me in this coming week. Visualizing that idea as already acted upon and brought to pass. In seeing my idea become a fact of my experience, I enjoy the happiness and peace of my thought fulfilled and gratefully speak these words. I accept. Knowing that I have an everlasting place in the midst of the power that sustains all creation, as well as the support of all those around me, I allow myself to relax in the peace of fulfillment and gratitude and say, I release. Now, in my mind's eye, I envision the presence of someone near and dear to me. This can be a friend, a family member, a teacher or mentor, someone who has touched my life in deep and loving ways. Someone who may not be physically present in the room this morning or on this planet anymore. I turn to that image in my mind's eye and say, I'm grateful for the good in your life. Now I open my eyes, turn to the world around me, and joyfully speak to anyone physically present in this room or virtually on this broadcast, and share in confidence and gratitude in saying, I'm grateful for the good in your lives.
This series has been on divine mind in a practical way. Divine mind is a euphemism. It's a lovely image, but it's also a practical delivery system. It brings us information. We ask of it things that we don't know, that we don't have at hand. And a metaphor of it is, one of many, is that it's like you have a library at home, right? You have your accumulation of books, whether they're paper books or if you're more newfangled, you have Kindle downloads and access to digitized information, but it's finite. It's a certain amount of stuff that you've accumulated. Then there's the library, the infinite storehouse of wisdom, which you don't have immediately at hand, it seems, nor do you need to. You had nowhere to put it, and a lot of it you think you wouldn't understand because it's out of sequence with the stuff that you've learned to this point. But every now and then you need some information that you don't have ready access to. It's not the same stuff you've read over and over. It's not the material that you've memorized. You need something new and different. And we've talked about this over the past 3 weeks, about how there's information for you about your life and your process and how it unfolds, and there's information about your role in society and how society is unfolding, and how this earth, as inhabitants of this earth, we're all to get along and make a difference and protect our mother, the earth. Where does all of this stuff exist, and how do we get to it? Well, it's there, and you get to it by asking for it. It's really as simple as that. And today's about, if you don't get at first listen, I guess, what you think you need, keep listening. Keep at it. There's a word for, I was trying to think of the right word for this that sums it all up. And the word that comes to mind is steadfastness. Steadfastness. A similar word is relentlessness. You know, to just keep doing this work, whether or not it seems in the short term to be paying off. Keep asking for the information that you need because it's out there. And if you don't get it at first listen, ask yourself if there's something different you might do in terms of tweaking your relationship with the infinite library. And one of the things that comes to mind is if you're not getting answers to your questions, try questioning your answers. Try questioning your answers. Try questioning what it is you're expecting. Try reframing the question in a certain way. Try imagining if you had the answer, what would you do? And this is the metaphysical approach to pretty much everything. If you want prayer to work for you, rather than focusing on the prayer that you're doing, focus on the end result, the end game, the bottom line, the outcome. What is it you wish to create in your life, and how would it feel if you had it? And what is it you'd wish to create in your life, and how would it feel if you had it 5 years from now? In other words, that you'd had it for 5 years. It arrived, you're good this afternoon. Your good arrives this afternoon. And now 5 years from now, how does it feel? 10 years from now, 20 years from now. The thing that you want to do. We've talked about this before. Normalizing your desires. Normalizing what it is you want to create in your life. You want to be a rock star or something like that. You know, that whatever in whatever field you're drawn to. Rather than imagining or trying to imagine the moment of great surprise and astonishment and joy when that happens for you, try to imagine it as normal. As your normal work life, as your normal process. What do people who are famous, what do people who are wildly creative, intensely creative do that is habitual to them, that is just routine? Try to imagine that. We want to fall in love. So we imagine meeting somebody. But meeting somebody is not the same thing as falling in love. Meeting somebody is an adrenaline rush, and it's endorphins, and it's hormones, and it's all of this stuff. But what about creating a long-term relationship? What about creating something that is so trustworthy to you, is so familiar and comfortable to you? That's what we want to create, rather than just the surprise and the astonishment of incoming good. So try reframing the questions of what is it I'm asking for, and use your imagination, stretch your imagination. We've talked about this the last couple of weeks too, about look twice in the same place. Look where you've already looked. You say, well, my good's not there. I went through that at some point in the past. Well, try looking again, because things sort themselves out interestingly. New information trickles down when you're not paying attention. Things come to you in your dream state. Things come to you in non-waking reality and pile up and accumulate around you. And you look again and you see, oh, wow, suddenly this makes sense. We also, if I'm giving you too much out of sequence, just bear with. But what also happens to us is that we get information before we have any practical use for it. We get answers to questions we have not asked. No one knows why this is so, and you might speculate on the existence of an astral body, an ethereal body, bodies of consciousness that are not connected immediately to the here and now, that themselves have been making inquiry of the universe and receiving information that does not seem to have application in this moment. What do you do with that? You put it aside for the time being, but you put it aside where you can find it. The same way, do you collect recipes? I got on an email list. I don't know why. I suspect, frankly, you. I suspect some of you sign me up for stuff, because all of a sudden I'm on this list, and it tells me I subscribed, and it's all wholesome stuff. You know, it's like inspirational quotes and things like this. And then I started getting this recipe thing about healthy eating. I absolutely accuse you of this. And, well, I don't have an immediate use for this, but you create a little folder in your inbox, you know, you put stuff there, restaurant openings, fun things you like to buy, and my music file is enormous, enormous, you know. I don't know when I'm ever going to get to it. But if I choose to get to it, it's there. And it will be just the right thing at the right time. Brian got up and sang a song as he was announcing what it was. I heard Lisa say, I know this song. You know, it connected. How much role did Lisa have subconsciously and without communication with Brian? How much role does she have in creating Brian singing that particular song this morning? These are the kinds of strange and wonderful questions we can ask ourselves. When something comes to you that just fits, you say, that was just what I needed. Instead of the old country song, the last thing I needed, first thing this morning. No, that was just what I needed. How much creative juice in that transaction is attributable to you? How much power do we have in this way? Well, this symbol behind me, this middle range between the two parallel lines, represents subjective or subconscious mind. Actually, universal subjective and subconscious mind in which we all live. We're communicating constantly with one another and inviting something from one another and serving something back to one another all the time. This is part of the information transmission that's always going on. Another thing to remember when it doesn't seem like you're getting what you want in terms of incoming information is sometimes the questions are too large to have a distinct and recognizable answer. Sometimes we need to break things down into components. For example, people will ask of the universe, they'll say, what's my purpose in being here? There's no easy answer to that. It's not one word or one line or one career. Your purpose for being here ultimately, I can tell you right now, your purpose is to express the power that made you. Guess what? You're already doing that. You've been doing that since day one, whenever day one was. And if we go with the metaphysical idea, we've always been. Because there really wasn't a beginning, just like there'll never be an end. But in the narrower term, your purpose in this lifetime, your purpose in being behind the name that you wear and the face that you wear and all of that is simply to express. And everything else is gravy. If you want to express profoundly, or you want to express prosperously, or you want to express some other way, you know, that's all style. That's just your unique way of being. But you can't betray your purpose. So, okay, maybe that doesn't help so much because you're still sitting there saying, yeah, I know, but I think I need it. You know, I need a purpose. Well, then try this. Rather than saying, show me my purpose, say to the power, show me what to do next. Show me the next step to take, the next choice to make. What can I do today? Also, you can turn it outward. And instead of saying so often, if this isn't working for you, instead of saying so often to the power, show me how I can have greater happiness in my life, say to the power, show me how I can evoke greater happiness in the lives of the people around me. And in doing that, you'll find greater happiness, of course, within yourself. A lot of this is common sense, but tweak the questions. And tweak the answers that you expect. A lot of times what we do is we go to this power and we say, okay, I need an answer to this question, and secretly I'm hoping that the answer is this. Well, if you're secretly hoping that the answer is such and such, then that's the answer for you in the time being, because whatever answer is going to come in from apparently outside yourself is going to conform itself to the answer that you're expecting. Like if you feel wrong, kind of chronically, have you ever been a chronically wrong feeling person? Like whatever I do, it isn't enough? You know what happens as a result of that? Nothing you do is ever enough. Until you get uncomfortable enough with trying to pack everything you do into that container called wrongness that you change your mind about it, and then everything you do is either non-judged or it's perfectly fitting to the situation. Things conform themselves to the expectations that we have. Reminds me of a cartoon I saw a million years ago in Mad Magazine. Is anybody else willing to admit that they read Mad Magazine back in the day? Some hands go up. Good, thank you. Yes. There's this guy, and he can't decide whether he wants a Plymouth or a Pontiac or something, an Oldsmobile, you know. And so he flips a coin. Heads, it's the Plymouth, and tails, it's the Pontiac. And it comes down heads for the Plymouth, and he says, darn, I really wanted the Pontiac. And this is the game that we so often play. It's like there's something outside of us that's determining our good. And we need to wait for it to reveal itself and play its hand. When, in fact, what's going on inside of us is a preset condition of expectation. Here's what I want. We don't have to justify it. We don't have to explain it to anybody else. It's ours and ours alone. How we choose to be. How we choose to be. My horoscope this morning. I do read them. I don't put a lot of stock in the ones that I see in the paper, you know. I think astrology is very cool, but I think it's, again, like anything else, it's way more complicated than can be boiled down to 1/12 of the population is going to have this kind of a day, you know. Nevertheless, in my horoscope this morning, it told me to stay home. It told me to stay home and relax and just chill and don't do anything. You know, and I looked at that and I thought, well, I can't do that. I've got, and so then there's a part of you just by custom, you know, is a little bit worried. Like, is there something wrong with my going to work today? Is this not a good thing? And it's like Ernest Holmes tried to put it this way. He said, there's nothing out there. There's nothing out there that's moving us around. There's plenty out there, but it's not moving us around. Because whatever's out there is a projection of everything that's in here. Consciousness is non-locatable. Consciousness is not local. It's not private. It's not personal. Consciousness is everywhere. And his great mentor of an earlier generation, Emerson, talked about how it's all a matter of trusting something that's within the self, that there's a power within you that causes you to be unique. Emerson said the soul, with a capital S, had need of an organ here in this life, and you are that organ, and I am that organ. And so with originality and great joy, we interpret reality. So the answers are coming to you. And I said something it was either last week or the week before, and I've said this before, and I say it again because it impacts me every time I think of it, is you who are sitting in this room or a room like it anywhere, hearing a message, anything like this message, watching online, any message like this message, have voted to hear this, have voted to hear this. And so this is part of your answer. Whatever it is you're seeking in your life, this is part of your answer. And I like to think it's sort of a template for your answer because you're going to fill in all the specifics yourself. But the general steps of finding what it is you are to do in this life are presented pretty clearly in the Science of Mind teaching. Ask in faith believing, seek and you will find. Knock, and the door will be opened unto you. Have you heard that passage before? You probably have. That's biblical. Keep knocking. Keep knocking on the door. Pound on the door if you have to, for your own good, for your own, to express your own feeling, not because what's behind the door is reluctant, but just to kind of put it out there. Like sometimes you've got to vent, you know, sometimes you've got to expend some energy. So do that. Pound on the door, scratch on the door, look through the keyhole, do whatever you need to do with the door. The door will open when it's time for the door to open. Everything has its timing. We're not in charge of all of that. Same as if you went to a store, a restaurant, or any kind of shop, you know, they have hours. Few of them are 24 hours, most of them aren't. So you wait. You can knock on the door, and they're not going to open it until they're ready. And if they did open it before they were ready, it wouldn't do you any good, because they wouldn't have fired up the stove in the kitchen. And you get the idea. So you knock on the door, you seek, you ask, you keep asking, and you change the ask. The word ask has been turned into a noun, you know. Many words have. It's no longer just a verb. So the ask. You tweak the ask. How would I feel if I knew what I was doing? How would I feel if I had confidence? That's one of the funniest ones right there, because confidence is to start with a feeling. You just decide. You know what confidence means? It means to keep a secret. That's literally, going back to the Latin, it's confidere. It's to know a secret and keep it. You have a secret, not like gossipy kind of secret, but you have an inner knowing of something that you can't be relieved of. You can't have it taken from you. You just know it and you hold it. And this is the sense of self that you have about yourself. So how would it feel if you had confidence? Well, confidence is a feeling, so you can decide right now just to feel confident. And the only thing that stands in the way of feeling confident right now is your story about yourself, which says, well, there was a time before you felt confident. And you remember how that was. Back before you were confident, you said and did some kind of awkward things. Maybe people laughed at you or whatever. You know, so is that real? Is that still empowered? No, it's old information. It's a memory that you can change, rinse away, or keep the memory, but take the heat out from under it. Take the power out from under it, you see. And you empower instead this idea of confidence. I know what I'm doing, which is why we use affirmations too, because they articulate the statements that we wish to feel. So I affirm and know right now that I know what I'm doing. In every situation, I know what to say and how to say it. Furthermore, I am an active listener. Dave and I were talking about listening yesterday on the phone. I'm an active listener. And I hear what others share with me, and I internalize it, and it enriches my life, and it enables me to turn around and reply to them and give them information back, and so on. I know what I'm doing. I know how to do this. Every new opportunity that comes my way, we can affirm to ourselves, every new opportunity that comes my way causes me to open a new chapter of knowing in my life. A whole new body of information unfolds itself, and suddenly I am able to do things I had never dreamed possible for myself. Furthermore, as I know this about myself, I know it about every person with whom I come in contact. Every person I see is an artist, a musician, a poet. Every person I come in contact with is a brilliant scientist, mathematician, engineer. Out of this array of possibilities, that person, each person selects what they prefer, what they have the greatest affinity for, and they go in that direction. I have no control over this, nor do I wish to. But everybody has access to infinite wisdom. Furthermore, I'm cheering for them. I'm not one of these people who watches a car race on TV, hoping there'll be a wreck. I'm not one of these people who watches these competitions on TV. If you do, American Idol and So You Think You Can Sing, or whatever, these different shows, sitting there hoping their voices crack and they, no, I'm pulling for everybody. I'm pulling for people to do the highest and best they possibly can, because they are no threat to me, because there is no competition anywhere. There is room enough for all of us to absolutely shine and not take the spotlight off anybody else. Therefore, I'm pulling for the world. And guess what happens? The world is pulling for me. The world now looks at each one of us and says, there comes so-and-so out their front door. Look at them with that confident stride. Look at them head off into their life. Good for them. There's good for them, and they ought to have it. As Emma Hopkins said and Florence Shinn repeated, there's good for them, and they ought to have it. There's good for me. See, so often we're just about it. There's good for me, and there's private, and give me. And it's not far from that sentiment, still working on this. It's not far from that sentiment of there's good for me, and I ought to have it, to the sentiment of, that's mine, give me that. And pretty soon, we're back in the sandbox, and not in a healthy way. We're back in our dysfunction of private gain, But if instead we turn it outward, we say there's good enough for everybody, and I am unthreatened by the amazing performance in life that every other godling I encounter manifests, then we're putting into subconscious mind an incredibly powerful statement. An incredibly powerful statement that benefits us all. All right? Next week, I want to tell you real quick a couple of things coming up. Next week starts a new series. And how this came to be is I was going to do this and I was going to do that. And I have a lot of books in my home office, and in the shelf right behind me as I sit at my desk is all the New Thought material. And often I'll turn around there and I'll spot something and bring you Eva Bell Werber, or bring you Johnny Coleman, or bring you some teacher of past or present, This time I went to a different shelf. My eyes just wandered and I ran across Joseph Campbell. And so I want to bring you a little Joseph Campbell. And Joseph Campbell is one of those people who got out of the way of his own material. It's not his teaching, He's about world culture, world mythology, world religion, and how it all knits together. So the series is called Thou Art That, Tattvam Asi. And we're going to talk about mysticism. We're going to talk about the collective unconscious. We're going to talk about archetypes, metaphor, myth, and symbol. I think you're going to really enjoy it, and it will be practical. There will be practical aspects of it, as well as an opening to greater study if you're interested in these different fields. Speaking of study, tomorrow night starts a basic class in the science of mind called The Essential Ernest Holmes. I know this is going to be in the announcements, but I wanted to make sure it got on the YouTube version too. Tomorrow night we go from 6:30 to 9 Central Time. It's on Zoom. We've got, I think, 20 people enrolled so far. This is Reverend Katie Roxburgatti and me. And David LeMaster is joining us for the first couple of weeks anyway, practitioner here at Creative Life. If you want to learn more about the application of science mind in your life, practical things you can do, as well as meet a cohort of amazing godlings from across the country that can become like family to you as you go forward through these classes, join us. Just email me for the information. I'll tell you how to sign up, all right? Okay, so real quick treatment. Lisa's going to do one at the end too, but I'm feeling one. Somebody in a class one time said this. Some of you remember that. You were there. They said, I felt a treatment. They didn't say I gave a treatment or I did a treatment. They said I felt a treatment. Isn't that great? So I'm feeling one. So let's know together there is one life, one power, one presence, one mind. And in that mind is everything that we could possibly need or want. Now we go to that mind, unafraid, unabashed, with confidence and conviction. Knock on that door and the door is opened. And so often as what occurs for us in daily life occurs for us with this interaction with mind, what we receive is a process. We're not so much told the answer as we're told how to figure out the answer. We're not so much given the final product as we're given the ingredients and told how to combine them. We're shown, and then we're asked to show back to that source what it is we have learned. All of this is easy for us. All of this is natural. We've always been doing it. Now we're aware we're doing it. And for this new inspiration, for this new vision, this new possibility coming over the horizon toward each of us, I am so deeply grateful. I release this word now, calling it done, with gratitude, profound gratitude. And I let it be, and so it is.
Actually, Mel, I thought you were going to bring me a stepladder so I could use Brian's mic. It must be kind of rare up there in the atmosphere. Yeah, before I start the announcement, I got to tell you this. It's kind of latching onto what Reverend Jesse was saying. And, you know, everything really is connected, because this morning I was talking to Barbara about one of the great philosophers in time, Marcus Aurelius. He was a Roman emperor, but he was a great philosopher. And then, about 10 minutes later, I opened up my meditation app, and the quote of the day was from Marcus Aurelius. And we're all connected. I mean, everything in this universe is connected. And look, you know, here we have ministers, we have practitioners. We are really, really here to help you. If you need prayer, that is what we're here for. That's what we're taught to do. I think Reverend Jesse was talking once, and he said this guy came in talking about our group, and he said that the main thing that we do in Sights of Mind is pray, correct? And that's what we're here. We're here to pray for you. So you want to bring something into your life, you want to release something from your life, let us know, and one of our practitioners will pray for you. And Reverend Lisa will tell you more about that shortly. As we come to giving time, I don't see where our little ushers are, Marissa. Yeah, they're distracted. They're not listening to the service because they didn't turn the sound on. I don't know what they're doing in there. Anyway, they are. Oh yeah, next Sunday is the first Sunday, so there will be snacks afterwards. We'll have our meeting day. We always meet on the first Sunday of the month. We get together in the back there, and there will be snacks, so come and enjoy those. So as we come to giving time, just remember that, you know, every donation that comes in here is put to good use. And one of the uses is for us to get the word out to try and make this world a better place. And that is one of our main missions in life. It's a world that works for everyone. And you can help by your donations. So please say with me, divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all the good I am and have, all the good I give and receive. I am prosperous now, and so it is.
So actually what Jesse heard me say was, I don't know that song. But that's not what you heard. Except for the fact that I'm a huge Yusuf Islam fan. So, you know, Brian and I actually have a lot of music in common. And so anytime I can get him to play Cat Stevens, John Denver, I'm there. And I'll sing along in the front row if I've got a voice, which clearly I don't today. And the universe does have this way of handing you what you need. I hit that point, I think in 21, where I just needed something and I don't know what I needed. And you know how you fall down rabbit holes in YouTube? Well, YouTube handed me Rick Astley singing Titanium. Okay, which is random and, okay, what? And then I looked up his catalog and I'm like, Rick Astley's been releasing music for years. And it brought me every one of us, which they did for me for my ordination, and still will occasionally pull out. And I got him to do a Bare Naked Lady song, too. I'm waiting for you to try that one again. You know, push comes to shove, I might come do it for you. I mean, it's kind of rap, so I don't have to sing it. Okay. I was figuring if I was going to get you to do it again, I might offer. And since I don't have to sing it, so... now, I know Reverend Jesse promised you that I would do a treatment, but as you can hear, I don't have much of a voice. So I'm going to let you know that the online practitioner is Michael Levinson, and if the information is not in chat, it will be in a minute. And the in-room is going to be Jim, and so I'm inviting Jim up, because he said he would, to do the closing treatment for me.
Good afternoon. Please join me in focusing and recognizing the eternal presence that is in us, among us, and in which we are. It is the font of confidence and gratitude and knowingness. It is the creator of experience. And I am one with that creation. It is in me. It is, my expression is of me, and it is from Creator. And if that's true for me, it is true for each person in this room. And so I speak these words for all present, that everything we have is here now. Everything we need is here now. Everything we are is here now. And that we control it is an illusion that cannot stop it from being. And so it is. And so with gratitude I say, for these words, for this gathering, for this knowingness, for this presence, I release these words into the law of creation, knowing that it is so. And please join me with saying, and so it is.
Say with me now, something wonderful is happening through me.
Something wonderful is happening through me.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my mind.
I feel it in my mind.
I feel it in everything I
I
am.
feel it in everything I am.
I choose it.
I choose it.
I trust it.
I trust it.
I use it.
I use it.
And I love it.
And I love
So
it.
it is.